Before we check out my Week 5 preview for the Broncos and the Raiders, I want to give a big shout out to everyone who has subscribed so far as we are beating the Raiders reports in subscribers. And I was also told that if we take down the Raiders report in subscribers, we will get studio space to do a Broncos watch party. Now, we might be a little bit late just because it's the 2:05 p.m. game. So some of the earlier watch parties, the 11 a.m. noon games, kind of running into that later afternoon slot. But we will get a watch party if we take down the Raiders report in subscribers. So go ahead and click that sub button right now. What's going on, Broncos country? Welcome on into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, getting you guys ready for what hopefully will be a Broncos win, an end to the losing streak. It'll be the first time the Denver Broncos have defeated the Las Vegas Raiders. Yep, it has sadly been that long since they were last in Oakland when the Broncos took down the Raiders. So I want to start by looking over both teams because we are one quarter of the way into the season. We have a good idea as to who's who and what team strengths and weaknesses are. So let's start by comparing Denver's offense against Las Vegas's defense. So far through 4 games, just based off the numbers, not very impressive. Now, the numbers don't tell the whole story, right? The numbers don't include an absolute monsoon last week in New York where, yeah, the Broncos offense only put up 10 points, but it was the kind of game where 10 points felt like 30 points in a dome stadium. Now, if we take a closer look at some of the issues with the Broncos offense, third down and red zone. And I'll expand on that later on, but those definitely need to be better because that is some of the greatest strengths of the Raiders defense, third down defense and red zone defense. Now let's look at the Raiders offense against what so far has been a top 5 defense for the Broncos. Third in points, second in yards, third and third down, second in the red zone. I mean, how much more do we have to see to believe that, yeah, this Broncos defense is playing like a top 5, top 10 defense in the National Football League, and they go up against a Raiders offense that, I hope this does not come back to bite me, does not intimidate me very much, especially with Davante Adams, who we'll talk about in a moment, likely unavailable on Sunday. But before we look at my keys to victory, the injury reports for both teams. The Broncos come in pretty healthy, I would say. Tyler Bidet has been unavailable at practice so far this week, so don't expect to see him on Sunday. But everyone else who entered the week of practice with a couple of injuries, they were full participants to close out the week, so I expect to see them all available on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Raiders injury report. Grab a pen and paper. It is long, but some notable names on it. I've got Zamir White not practicing with a groin injury. If you're not practicing, doesn't put you on a good path to play. Davante Adams, he has truthfully been dealing with a hamstring injury, I've heard, but it also doesn't help that he requested a trade more or less. So often when that happens, teams don't want to play the guy because if he gets hurt, it basically becomes impossible to trade him. If you look at the rest of the offensive line now, I mean, man, you've got a couple of starters right there and some key backups, all either limited or not practicing. Their second-round pick out of Notre Dame last year, Michael Mayer, I'm not quite sure what's going on with him. He did not play in Week 4 against the Browns. He has not practiced this week with a non-injury reason, so we'll have to wait and see what's going on with him. Hopefully nothing too serious. The other piece of the pie for the Raiders, Maxx Crosby. Did not practice again. He missed Week 4. First time he's missed a game due to injury, I believe, in his entire NFL career. So that would be a huge loss for Las Vegas. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Crosby, just drags himself onto the field one way or the other. But even if he is on the field, which we know he has been, unfortunately, a major thorn for the Broncos, he is far from 100% in terms of his health and ability to play 100% of snaps, which he prides himself on doing. So injury-wise, major advantage going to the Broncos, who come in, as far as NFL Week 5 goes, relatively healthy compared to a Raiders team that has a lot of players dealing with injuries. Now, before we look at my 3 keys to victory, predict the score for me. Broncos versus Raiders. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to give you my score prediction at the end of the video, but I want to hear from you right now in the comments. My first key to victory, continued the ground success. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the Broncos offense has found some success lately because they have been able to get the ground game going. Look at the massive turnaround from the first 2 weeks to the last 2 weeks. I mean, they're nearly averaging a whole extra yard. In a game of inches, that is crucial right there. 262 yards compared to 163 yards in the first 2 weeks. Now, a big reason why was Tyler Bidet in week 3 and then Javonte Williams in week 4, who had an awesome game, I felt like, against the Jets when he really needed to put together a great performance to keep himself above water. So hopefully we can get more from Williams. And last week was not just a one-off, but he is definitely someone I am circling to watch for. Look at the improvement from weeks 1 through 3 to week 4 for 33. I mean, he outperformed what he did in the first 3 weeks of the season combined against what I think is a pretty stout New York Jets defense. So watch for Pookie. I'm excited for him to hopefully kind of get into a rhythm. Plus, we all know he suffered a very gruesome injury against the Raiders. I don't think he holds it against them, but if he needs some extra motivation to have a great game on Sunday, there you go. Now, before we look at my next 2 keys to victory, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Game Time. If you want to go to this Broncos game or an upcoming Rockies, Nuggets game, or Avs game. Can't believe baseball's over. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really enjoy about Game Time is their all-in pricing option. When you toggle this feature, it shows you the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. That way, when you get to checkout, there is no big $30 fee waiting for you. So download the Game Time app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. My second key to victory for Sean Payton, Bo Nix's ball security. No bonk here, but yeah, we need to see a better job of protecting the football from Nix and the entire offense in general, but it usually starts with the quarterback. So, some fun facts for you guys here. The Raiders so far this year, small sample size, just 4 games, but when they have 0 takeaways, they are 0-2. When they get at least 1 takeaway, they are 2-0. Surprise, surprise, teams win more often when they generate takeaways. The Broncos, when they have 2 or more turnovers in the game, they are 0-2. When they have 0 to 1 turnovers, they are 2-0. This Broncos offense is just not talented enough. And that's not a mean blow to them, but there are a lot of young players on this offense. You've got a rookie quarterback that I don't think they can overcome mistakes like turnovers. In fact, rookie quarterbacks from 2020 to present in games where they throw 2 or more interceptions are 1-39. The lone exception was C.J. Stroud last year. So, turning the ball over is bad enough. Turning the ball over with a rookie quarterback, you are digging your grave. So for Bo Nix, it really comes down to ball security because he's done a much better job of it the last 2 weeks, and that has been instrumental in fueling Denver's 2-game winning streak on the road. Let's bring that back to the Rockies, and let's keep the ball on the Broncos side of the field and not turning it over. Third and final key to victory, red zone offense. I mentioned this earlier, a little bit of foreshadowing, but the red zone offense I think is going to be crucial for Denver. And here's why. I looked over the 8-game losing streak, and I tallied the average margin of defeat amid this losing streak, and it is 7.3. You are not going to beat the Raiders if the game plays out like most of the games over the last 8 have played out with field goals. You have got to find a way to capitalize when you enter the red zone. These games have been sometimes blowouts. You need touchdowns, not field goals. And so, for the Broncos offense, they are going to need a sharp turnaround in the red zone, where they are currently 31st in the NFL as they go up against a Raiders defense that is middle of the pack, right? Not great, not bad, but to me, this could easily be the difference maker. If the Broncos keep walking away with field goals and the Raiders keep scoring touchdowns like they have for the last 4 years, we're probably going to get another 7-point average margin of victory for the Raiders. So, Hopefully, the red zone offense can turn 3 points into 7 and walk away with 4 more points, because every single point in this game obviously is going to be important. But when you have been spanked around like the Broncos have against the Raiders for the last couple of years, you're going to need 7, not 3. So before we get on out of here and before I give you my score prediction, one last call. Give me your score prediction in the comments below. Don't be a stranger. Don't be afraid. Shoot your shot. We'll see if you get it right. For me, I'm going to go Broncos win it 23-17. This has to be the game where it all comes to an end for the Raiders. 8 games is far too long for that poverty franchise of the last 3 decades against the Denver Broncos. Give me the Broncos by 6 because they're scoring TDs. They're not scoring field goals.